No matter how experienced you are, Baja can be a tough mistress. Alluring and beautiful, yet dangerous. With 17 years experience sharing the Baja Peninsula as a group, could the Rip to Cabo still make bad decisions? Finding extreme heat in rocky tight canyons that bring riders to heat stroke and hooked up on IVs.
Four now that are tired. Johnny said one's knocked out.
Having a helicopter is a filming luxury, but on this Rip to Cabo, it was needed for rescue and hydration delivery. Could we be so dumb? You'd think we would avoid what we call quicksand dunes in Baja. We don't. We know they are there, but we still find a way to get our bikes buried, riders going over the bars, and more than a handful of riders needing help to exit the dunes. Yes, Baja is beautiful, and the views are stunning, but when Baja gets in a mood, or you put yourself in a situation, she can deliver a massive challenge. Making good decisions will get you to Land's End. Making bad decisions will get you in trouble. Stay with us for the passion and the struggle as we forge our way 1,500 miles off-road for this year's Monster Energy Rip to Cabo presented by Raceline Wheels. The grandiose views and stunning beauty are part of why we take on the challenge of Baja. It can be a battle physically, mechanically, and mentally to cover 1,500 miles on the peninsula. I feel this is what drives our thirst for adventure, the outright challenge. California as we know it today was formerly a part of Baja, but thankfully when they split the territory between the US and Mexico, they kept the beauty and magic of Baja for Mexico. California would have ruined it with dense population encircled by massive freeways. Had it gone the other way, it's possible the passion that multiple generations of Baja locals have for off-road may not exist today. With 32 riders starting the adventure, we never know how many will complete the entire ride. The average is probably less than 70% will complete every mile from Tecate, California to the office at Land's End in Cabo San Lucas, mostly due to mechanical failure or coming up short physically. Joining his Rip brothers again is 2020 Dakar Rally champion and Baja 1000 winner Ricky Brabeck from the high deserts of California. He joins for the fourth time on Rip to Cabo as Baja is an epic playground for the Monster Energy factory Honda rally rider and his stoke is high on every trip. Ricky is mentored by and in many ways the protege of 11-time overall winner of the Baja 1000, Johnny Campbell. Overall means Johnny beat not only all the motorcycles, but also the high horsepower trucks entered in the race. His last win came in 2008, and he has been a big part of the Rip to Cabo since 2009. Yes, we have the best of desert racers, but in contrast, we also have the personality and talent of 13-time X Games medalist, all the way from Australia, Jackson Strong, also known as Jacko. Few have the willingness to conceive what is possible on a dirt bike, but Jacko doesn't seem to have the normal human limitations when it comes to freestyle Moto X. Jacko has zero off-road experience, other than the one time we taught him to surf and took him on his first Rip to Cabo 4 years ago. Along with Johnny leading the group, we have two ambassadors of the Stoke that have been traveling Baja on dirt bikes for years that make up our lead group, or trail bosses, for Rip to Cabo. Mark Moss has been on every Rip and is known as an OG, or original gangster of the Rip. He's an iHeartRadio media personality who has been featured on Fox Business and is an expert in both Baja and cryptocurrency. Andy Bonin is not a racer, but hauls it with the best of them. Although this year the pace they carried in at least one section put the big fella, known as Panda, on the ground. He's well loved by his brothers, and seeing him down was a tough one for all of us. The final introduction for now is me, the donkey or ringleader of the circus known as the Desert Assassins. I'm Cameron Steele, and since I was 3 years old, I've been coming to Baja. My father started racing here in 1970, and by the mid-80s, I was following his path. In 2005, the idea of sharing the passion outside of racing was born with a trip called, get this, the We Love Our Wives trip. Bringing the ladies in buggies and trucks to show them why we loved racing at Baja so much was the plan. My wife Heidi is a little different, as she has won more Baja 1000s than I have. It's our amazing wives and families holding down the homestead that allows our group of misfits to take off and enjoy Baja year after year for 8 days of riding, a tradition since 2006 when we started this crazy trip.
Watch out, Bradford, go to your right.
In 2022, we have laid out what looks like 1,500 plus miles of Baja's finest challenges. One of the days we are all looking forward to was day 2, where we would be hosted by Baja locals on their personal trails. On the way to Meling Ranch on day 1, however, the riders turned into small boys with a little splash stop near Mike's Sky Rancho.
Blew my foot off, and I didn't even hit it that hard, but now, look, Kevin Ward's going back, Johnny's going back, copycats, everybody wants to act like they're 5 years old. That's what a Baja trip's all about.
Every day is a cool day on this thing.
We're expecting big things from Jacko.
Yeah, we don't know what it is yet, but maybe I'll just learn how to ride a dirt bike all of a sudden.
Leaving the river, we found our way into some rocky and rutted 2-track that would lead us to our mountain ranch stop for the night.
Oh, Meling Ranch is pretty awesome. I mean, it's basically, it looks like it's a working ranch out in the middle of almost nowhere. You know, no paved road access, but just a beautiful Spanish-style ranch, nice rooms, great hospitality, and very friendly people.
Upon arrival, we grouped up and started to draw random teams for upcoming group challenges.
All right, guys, you'll notice that the yellow team has umpire next to it. So you guys all call me a cheater. I can outplay all of you, but I'm now in charge of you. Oh boy.
The phrase are something that I came up with because I saw the camaraderie of the push-up game working, but I realized the push-up game, when you say mine or 10 or a word of the day, I realized that wasn't going to always be something that was cool or was going to run its course eventually. So I started coming up with these ideas to build camaraderie in these competitions.
Green team, green team. Hey guys, over here, let me hear you. The red team. Hey, here's the curveball. 1 foot on the ground, 1 foot up, 1 foot on your head, and 1 foot on your nuts. The last standing is getting 9 + 1 points.
Yeah, this year we had a little bit more fun with the phrase. You know, we were playing these games and split into 3 teams and made it a little bit more competitive. And I think it's good to break it up a little bit and create a little different distraction from just a non-stop dirt bike.
You can't do it! Come on! 9 + 1 points, baby! You're already jumping!
Yeah, I think they're doing great. Green team has this one, no problem. You can tell by the way the guys are holding their junk and the top of their head. They're thinking about the focus, and we got this all day long. These guys are struggling over here, so very confident. Green team.
I really think Mark Bradford found his zen, and he could have stayed there all night. But it was a good first fray, and unfortunately our team didn't win.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed with Bradford. That's impressive.
Green team schooled them big time. 2 contestants left. Everyone else can execute.
We woke up to brilliant sun rays busting through a still and quiet morning at Rancho Meling. The Meling family's history is in cattle and gold mining, but today they host visitors into the northern mountains of the San Pedro Martir.
Today we're riding with Alfredo Meling. Alfredo Meling's family owns this large ranch out in the mountains on the Sierras de San Pedro Martir.
Yeah, welcome for everybody. We're thinking we have a good day today, riding in a single track, so it's a good experience for today.
To start the day, Alfredo Meling would lead the group out the back of his ranch for some trail fun. We set up for what we call a hero shot from the helicopter, where Alfredo would greet you, the viewer, and signal us along for a snake-style chain ride on his banger of a trail.
I think the DA has a good vibe with the locals. I mean, I'm sure there's haters everywhere, but you know, having Alfredo Meling and Oswaldo both join the trip and show us their personal trails or their property where they ride, it's really magical, you know, to have their families open their door to us to come and ride there and see their stoke in it, like their smile to share it that's top shelf for me. I mean, when the people of Baja are stoked to hang out with you and to share what they have or to open their door, or they come running out of their place in the middle of nowhere to wave at you as you go by, that's what it's all about right there. That's the smile.
Most trails and routes originated as cow trail or hike hunting trails in Baja. We are blessed to take a ride with Alfredo, but a few of the guys weren't fans of the low and tight juniper bushes that whack us all in the face and bodies as we pass one of the tight segments.
Yeah, it was really cool. We got to ride out of there on some double track and 2 track, and then we got on some new single track that the Meling family had made and rode it with them. And there was 2 of the family members that we rode with were awesome riders. You know, one was on an older air-cooled XR, but that didn't stop him. He just charged away and kind of led the whole group, as a matter of fact.
Started off nice, got some epic single track through the hills, beautiful rolling hills, what a sight. And then went from the heat, came over the mountains to the coast, the cool temperatures came in. It's been amazing. Everybody's riding good, what a day.
As we transitioned to the Pacific coast, the views were definitely on point. This area is heavily ridden by locals and US-based riders alike, but it's not blown out. The routes are stunning, actually. The DA, Bulletproof Diesel, and Johnny Campbell Racing base our Baja Beach Bash fundraising ride in this zone, and in 2022, we are proud to announce the off-road community gathered to pledge $469,000 to the kids of Baja through Rancho Santa Marta Orphanage and School in San Vicente. Over the last decade, our efforts have raised nearly $2 million for charitable efforts in Baja.
After a while, people start stacking up on top of each other, falling down. I mean, everybody goes good at first, but it's a lot longer than you think it is, and everybody starts getting a little bit fatigued, a little bit hot. There's no airflow, and bikes were overheating, people were falling, but I think everybody made it up finally. But there were a few bikes that overheated, and I think mine was one of those.
The trail turns more technical, where sometimes riders make mistakes, but eventually the route starts to open up, leading us to the coast.
When we're going from the high mountains down to the sea, there's a transition point where you can smell it, you can feel the ocean already there, you can feel the temperature drop. But you can even it's in the air. It's like such a cool thing. And then you get whiffs of it as you're going through the valley, and then all of a sudden, boom, there's the ocean. And then you get to roll through these unbelievable sand dunes and spraying each other and just total mayhem. People going over the handlebars all over the place, entering the beach.
We call them quicksand dunes, and they're always a surprise, as it depends on if the wind has made them fluffy and soft, or if the moisture has made them packed and tacky. You can see what condition we found on this year's rip.
Then when you get on the beach, it's like a bunch of kids in a candy store, and it's like tough to keep everybody even close together. So But it makes it pretty eventful.
As we head south to end the day, there's an area that's common to have cars and locals driving on the beach, so we join them for a couple wheelies.
Yeah, so we don't have a lot of areas that we ride on the beach. We have some very, very remote areas that we jump on the beach. And they're beautiful beaches and they're gorgeous. And you just think to yourself when you're going down there, where's all the people, you know, because you're from Southern California, like beaches are just packed. There's no way you could do this down there. But out here you got these gorgeous beaches, these gorgeous waves coming in, and we get to rip right down those beaches and on our dirt bikes. It's really cool.
With a searing temperature forecast and the desolation of the Never Never coming up, we should proceed with caution.
Johnny said one's not out.
To me, El Rosario on the West Coast is where real Baja starts. It's where the Never Never begins in my slang. One of the beauties of the Baja Peninsula is the vastness. We're out here in the Never Never, as we call it. Never gonna see anybody. Never gonna have cell service. Never gonna have food service. But you're gonna have some trails. And Ricky Brayback, part of the Monster Energy Honda team, is here with us. And it's really cool to be able to share it with a Dakar champion like himself and watch him ride. It's really spectacular on the motorcycle.
Ricky Bobby, which is what we call Ricky Brayback, he's Ricky Bobby, okay? That guy is straight out of the high desert.
He's a badass on a dirt bike. He won Dakar. How many people can say that? Him go through things, you know? I'll go through something and it'll just be so hard to get through a line, and watching everyone else, that just looks like so much effort. Then all of a sudden Ricky looks like he's not even on the ground, he's just floating above it. I don't know how he does it.
So I've been working with Ricky Brayback about the last 4 or 5 years, and we worked really hard toward the Dakar Rally. The Dakar has been the pinnacle of off-road racing globally. And so working with Ricky over the last several years, we've been able to help him achieve his goals of winning the Dakar Rally in 2020. And, you know, just by his character and his hard-working ethic, he's been able to, you know, become one of the top rally racers in the world.
Ricky is amazing to say the least, but for us mere mortals, the Never Never is starting to dish up a challenge. Never going to see anyone, never anyone coming to help, never any shade, never a trail with no cactus. This is why I call it the Never Never, and it's for real. One thing is for sure, it's a challenge.
The mud hills were... You have enough water in your bladder? I do, filled it up, thank you. The mud hills were kind of a free for all, but it was awesome because I don't think we could have followed the same trail. It would have been all blown out by the end, but it was fun for everybody through the mud hills, and lots of new lines there for sure. But just try to keep everybody moving and keep it moving because it's hot out here.
So we're on day 3. It's a little past morning time here, but it's gotten warm really, really quick. We're pushing about 100 degrees. We're about to go out into a new trail that none of us have actually seen before, so it's a little suspect what we're about to get into. We estimate it's gonna take about 90 minutes to 2 hours to do it. It's gonna be hot, so everybody at least top off your camelbacks and stick some extra waters in there. You're probably gonna need it.
We're out of water. We're out of water.
We have pack water, don't we?
Everybody's packed.
No pack water?
There's no water left in any coolers.
Manage yourself. Grab a Gatorade.
This is where being cocky or arrogant can get people in trouble. Always make the cautious decision. We should have exited and taken a route to the main support trucks, but the allure of a new trail and riders saying they were ready to go left us making a bad decision.
And you can just feel the heat coming off the rocks. You just, as you're riding through there, you're just like, man, this is warm. And if you stop, you know, as soon as you stop, you don't have any breeze coming over you. Your body just kind of like you just start exploding. The moisture just starts coming at you, and you start realizing that, and mentally, you know, your game changes right there. You know, if you can't overcome that and get going right away, it's a full game changer for the riders right there. And And we had 4 of them that, I believe it was 4.
This section of the mid-peninsula that camera calls the Never Never. You're well below Ensenada, you're well above Cabo. There ain't no cell service, there's no ambulance, and if stuff goes wrong, it's all on you and your crew, your team of people. You're gonna take care of yourself, you're gonna take care of each other, or you're not.
It turned out that a few guys expired their water and were starting to melt down.
Four now that are tired. Johnny said one passed out, and then Sweeney, Barb, and Jacko's tired too, so that's 4. So yeah, probably around 4 as of now.
Gnarly rock climbs one after the other, and there was just no recovery. The sun was, there's blistering heat out there, and there was no wind to cool you down, so you're better off just to keep going. But it was just that when you kept going, it was just that slow trail pace that just on these slow hill climbs, so you never kind of got a recovery. And that just it definitely chewed me up and spat me out the other end. I was hurting.
So right now, obviously with the heat down here in Baja, we've got a couple of liters of IVs for the riders that potentially might be suffering from heat stroke or heat exhaustion, both quite deadly. So we want to make sure our riders are safe and well hydrated in this heat. So just got to get our kits, get the IV bags, get them on ice, get them cooled down so we can get their body temperatures down as well.
So sounds like they're out in a pretty remote area. Temperatures are hot. I think it's currently over 100 degrees here where we are. They're about 8 miles from us. Sounds like several riders are having some overheating issues. Now the helicopter is in the air. We have medics on the ground there assessing those needs, and then we're going to wait and make an assessment when they get here.
So right now what we're doing is we're running an audible. They're going to take the camera unit off the helicopter, bring Eric, who's the camera operator from Tent Media, back with his gear, and he possibly will ride one bike out. We'll transport one rider out to the highway.
We had to make an LZ, we had to make a landing zone for the helicopter because we were running out of water, we're running out of supplies. And what are we all gonna do? Now we're facing more people passing out and more people getting injured out there possibly.
The trouble when I land here is my tail rotor, when I land like this, and that slope is going up, so you gotta watch out for that.
Difficult to land where it was. There's cactus everywhere. We're having to prune the cactus and knock the cactus down for the props not to hit it. Being the amazing pilot Heli Jim is, he lands the chopper. We get the bags of the goodies out with all the new IVs, the cold water.
Barry overheated himself and then passed out here under the shade. Overheated, and right now we're just kind of treating him for heat exhaustion. Got an IV in him, gave him a little sugar. That IV up there, we got about 500 cc's in. He's got about 500 more to go.
Gotcha. Barry's the guy that gets up every morning and runs a couple miles in the heat before he even gets his gear on to go ride 200 miles on a dirt bike in Baja. So to see Barry fall over and pass out like that and be in need of help from our amazing medics was very difficult and very confusing.
That day 3 heat bonk sounds funny, makes good TV, it's not a joke. People are out there getting IVs. People are out there like hiding in the little bit of the shadow they can get out of a cactus just to get out of the sun. It was that bad.
Yeah, it's no joke on this one, the heat getting all of us. I mean, I'm feeling it myself. And I love the desert, but man, it can get anybody at any time. You just got to respect Baja.
So amazing again to see the medics in their realm, like in their, their what they do, and they feel so comfortable with it. They're able to put all their emotions aside and do their job in the heat with their brothers. Someone's struggling, they love them. The heat's out. We get them back up. We get the IVs in them, and we bring them in.
Freaking pissed right now. Bad decision making, I think. I had an opinion, and it wasn't popular, and so I was outvoted, and I'm pissed because I should have stuck to my guns. I take full responsibility. I was pissed, yes, that we shouldn't have been there. I have to own that because I was involved in the discussion for the decision making, but what came out of that was amazing. Our systems, our operation, our medics, they trusted that the system would work. And the system did work. We had IVs on trail, we had medics on trail, We had a helicopter for communications. I communicated through satellite device to have the helicopter bring fluids back. We all chilled for a couple hours in the shade, even though it wasn't totally comfortable. A bunch of guys got stung by bees, there were scorpions, there was cow poop everywhere, but we did what we needed to do. We accomplished the goal of getting everybody out of there safe, and because the systems work. So I'm proud of the way it came together in the end, but I'm disappointed that we ended up there.
The message everyone needs to understand is that making bad decisions can lead to disastrous results. As I always say, if you think it's a bad idea, it probably is.
It was definitely difficult, tough. I'm kind of glad right now that we're all here. We had a couple issues out there, but like I said, we're all here now. Catavina. Let's go have some margaritas.
Empty IV bags.
Pack out what you pack in.
We discussed with caution altering our route due to heat the next day, but we decided to at least get to a spot that was going to be a very meaningful moment for all of us at the Window Rock.
Heli Jim, tell me a little bit about what we're doing.
Just out here, taking care of our friend John.
We brought cement and a nice memorial for John Marking made out of shock absorber parts, which was perfect. It was an amazing feeling to build something that would be there forever and respected by everyone that drives by.
My brother John Marking passed away in December, and we wanted to leave a marker for him, so the Heralds, Chris and Brian, got together and they built this beautiful cactus in John's color, blue, and you know, we brought a couple memorial plaques to put on there, and you know, it's bittersweet. It'd be way more fun to have John here. We were just reminiscing a little bit ago about how John loved to race on the Window Rock and kind of try to put a wheel under people and throw passes and stuff like that. So it's a place we have fond memories of John, and we wanted to leave a marker on the peninsula for him, and I think this is a really fitting place right across from one of the most iconic moto locations in Baja. No one comes here unless they're on a moto or in a helicopter, so I think it's exactly the right spot.
Yes, I was lucky enough to meet John and ride with him quite a few times on beach bashes, and I rode with him in the Rocky Mountains. I learned so much. He's definitely quiet, but he'll tell you the truth when he says something. He taught us a lot about how to adjust our suspension, which is very nice.
We set the memorial for John Marking. It was powerful to film and to be a part of. It just shows our dedication to our friends that we've lost, and it's a great way to remember them and to come visit them and to have a spot in your head that we can always go to and remind yourself of them. And I can't wait to get there. It's like an awesome destination, or becomes a great destination to celebrate their life.
We'll never forget you, John. The rip continues in your honor when we return. Our first camp night was a huge hit and shared a little bit more stoke with the riders.
Well, we're in San Francisco. We rolled in here yesterday after a long day 4, which is the longest day of the rip. Came out to the secluded beach. Is absolutely gorgeous. Was treated to a lunar eclipse last night. Don't know how we planned that, but it worked out really awesome. And the sunset, the sunrise, everything was just immaculate and just totally God designed.
I was on the fence about this, like, I don't know, after a day of riding, I'll be all dirty. And waking up in the morning on the beach in your sleeping bag was like being a little kid again.
On this day, we had a cruise-style road and 2-track route that would gain us some miles. The idea was a fun but not overly challenging day to San Ignacio, as we needed to get going southbound. one route we chose had been raced by cars recently, and unfortunately one of our most solid riders found a kicker hidden in a silty section and he pounded the ground.
I was the first guy on Andy, and he was pretty banged up, just coming back to a little bit. I really thought he had a compound fracture on his right arm because it was bleeding pretty good and it was all gooed up with mud and stuff.
Radio's off, please.
Do you mind ripping that for me?
Your head okay too?
One part of your back.
Everything good here?
I think he body slapped, so I bet his back's good.
Let me see what you're looking at there, Ben.
It's just a puncture wound.
Right now we're running the logistics to figure out how we're going to extricate him. If we're going to drive him out in one of the chase trucks or load him into a helicopter and fly him off to the hospital.
And what happened was there was a lip, and you couldn't see it because the silt was piled as high, and you just see this little lip sticking out. But really, you know, his wheel was sank down there like 10 or 15 inches, and then when he hit the lip, it just ejected him. He rode the nose for a while.
He was on the front wheel, stuffed his arm in, and then boom, done deal. It's a 150 footer.
You think it's broke?
I think it could be crack fractured. It wasn't fully displaced. We thought it was compound in the very beginning, but really back slapped, and he exploded the bladder on the back of his backpack, so that saved his spine.
Pulling up and seeing Andy down on the ground, heart kind of drops, and you're hoping for the best. And yeah, it's a scary thing when you see any of the riders down, but particularly when it's your brother, kind of hits home.
Our Honda riding medics have a wealth of experience and are led by Battalion Chief Ben Rosenthal. Our protocol when a rider is down is to have medical assess and have other crew outline possible extraction options and medical destinations, which are few and far between in Central Baja.
So right now our medical team here, between Dr. Dave and our paramedics, have assessed him, and it sounds like we're going to transport by truck and get him to local facility just to get checked out.
Unfortunately, he hit it here and landed somewhere up there, another 75 feet after hitting this thing.
So we're thinking it was this right here.
As I said before, you don't see it.
We came up to him. He was conscious, talking. He had a puncture wound to his right arm. He was bleeding pretty good. And other than that, everything else kind of checked out. So we loaded him in the truck, got him into town, got him some air conditioning. We got him here. He seems a lot better than he did when we left the trail. So we're gonna get him some x-rays just to be cautious, but at this time I don't think it's anything to worry about.
The wind knocked out of me, and then it felt like I'd broke my arm, but luckily just got some puncture wind somehow, and yeah.
I'm glad you're all right, buddy.
Me too. It's never fun falling.
The Panda was able to walk it off, and the rip continued south.
The road into San Ignacio hits you two ways. One, you just came across the hot desert, silt and dirt, ruts, different things to deal with. You get into these rocks and you go through a really gnarly, ugly uphill. There's one section, two sections, three sections. And before you get to this road where there's a military guard point before you pull into town, a little inspection area, you have hit 4 or 5 of these sections that are, no matter who you are, no matter how hard you've ridden or what you know, they are gnarly.
Manny has been riding with the DA for over a decade and certainly knows his Baja. The transition from arid, rocky, and dusty routes to full oasis and palm trees is a shock to the senses. San Ignacio is beautiful, and the history of Baja is on full display with the Spanish mission in the town square founded in 1728. The downside is Panda had to go to the hospital, but he's going to be all good, checked out, x-rays are smooth. The good news is San Ignacio mission right behind us, ice cream straight across in front of us, and Rip to Cabo has eclipsed 788 miles. We have a few more days to go, so well over 1,000 in our future. If this is the traditional halfway point, we could be looking at a plus 1,400 mile trip. We'll see you when we get to the office at Land's End.
Rip to Cabo!
Welcome back to the Monster Energy Rip to Cabo, presented by Raceline Wheels. The Rip to Cabo needed a big breath of fresh air, and heading south there was a nice open feeling of restart as we got on graded roads and larger 2-tracks to start day 5 as we shot south along the Pacific. Baja has different feels and vibes depending on where you are, and this center of the peninsula on the western side is littered with tidal flats. It's not the tide rolling in on top that feeds them, but the tide coming in and pushing groundwater up that makes them tough to read. We always watch for the crusty white ice that is so dangerous for dirt bikes, but this time the maze of routes and unpredictable tides caught a local family in the wrong spot, and the DA stopped to get involved.
What are we doing over here? Well, we're tracking the school teacher from the lake bed. He was on his way to teach school this morning and didn't realize he was driving right into the mud. So, needless to say, school has been canceled for today. Yesterday was teacher day in Mexico, Dia del Maestro. Looks like they're gonna make the whole week out of it. So, good thing we were coming down the road today, huh? Does he drive this road often? He does. He was saying that it's the first time he's ever gotten stuck in the mud. He says that in the past. That wasn't too good, huh? That didn't sound good. He said that in the past he's driven down through here and he normally feels it when it's about to get muddy and he puts it in the 4 while he's driving. He said this time it was just too wet and he couldn't get through. This is his first time getting stuck. Yeah. Think we'll get him out? That didn't look too good. No, we'll get him out. Yeah. There's no way we're going to leave him here with his family. That ain't happening. Yeah. So it looks like they're going to get a little more than 15 minutes of our time. But it's all good. You know, there's a lot of times when we need help too. So it's all about helping each other out. Right. Alright, one problem solved. Yeah, one problem solved, another problem left. Go! Push. Oh yeah, we got you, feet. Watch your feet, watch your feet. Yeah! Nice work, everybody! Yeah!
Alright. It's a feel-good moment to Rip to Cabo. Yesterday we were all down because Bonin hit the deck. Now we're all up because we help a local.
That's pretty scary.
Yeah, no doubt. Some hard work.
After an hour of assisting others, we helped ourselves to a new connector route that we had not used before on Rip to Cabo. It's a tangled dune-style route intermixed with old land survey tractor cuts and fishing routes. It was challenging as the sand takes some focus, along with upper body polish and solid leg strength. This led us to a moment where I blew the helicopter a double kiss from way above the Pacific Ocean. A spectacular view for the Rip brothers, but it only lasted for a moment. With less than 20 miles of roads to lunch, I would hope for a smooth half-hour ride, but 10-time Rip to Cabo rider Fred Sobke screwed that up.
someone crashes hard like that in Baja and you pull up on them and you see their bike broken in half like Fred's on a rock, the first thing you think about from your heart is, oh my God, is he all right?
Wow. Holy. I never seen a bike like that.
So, had a really big crash here coming into Cudahy. Not sure what the situation was. Freddie, you were riding with him, right? Did you see what happened?
That rock up there, it totally stopped the bike. The bike just kind of bounced on the front suspension. It just kind of launched off, bounced right there. Just my dad landed way up there. It's tough to see.
I don't understand. I mean, we pray every morning, and I think someone was watching over Fred, because where he crashed, where he hit that rock and went over the bars, there's these giant boulders. I took a picture because I couldn't believe it.
And I kind of had a feeling that, hey, this is it. This is game over.
He went over the bars, flew over a boulder field, and fortunately, miraculously, landed in a patch of dirt.
He did a step up off his bike, so he didn't like crash at the same elevation. He crashed and flew up, landed up higher, so it kind of dissipated the speed of his fall. And he missed these giant boulders. Had he gone head into that, it would have been over.
Look, it's broken up inside.
Okay.
It snapped right at the threads. This is mangled. There was no mechanical here.
Okay. You feeling dizzy? Huh? Okay, lay back. Lay down. The number, okay? 9. Go ahead and lay down. If you feel dizzy, I have some stuff behind you. Lay down. That stuff behind you. Pass out. Just lay down.
Alright, truck's arriving. What do you think? Getting another truck and reclining?
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, the force it takes to break the front of the stem of the motorcycle in half, I mean, it's pretty serious.
No, the first thing I thought when I came back to conscious was, my son saw this. And little did I know he was standing right above me. So lucky, I'm lucky to be here.
For the bike to break is one thing, but the speed he must have been carrying to fly over those set of rocks. He landed 35 feet away, right? And he's not a small guy. You know, a couple 100 pounds plus flying off the bike, launched over these rocks. How? By the grace of God.
Not always easy to rebound from a brother's crash and get back on the bike, but we had to keep the rip moving. A fun section was not far ahead that the boys love to rail. Sand berms and moist 2-track are what make up the Mangroves, and everyone wants to think they are racing a moto when they start blasting the turns.
It's a freaking blast. It's a little motocross track. It's wet, it's slick. You slide in, two-wheel drifts off into the berm. When you come flying in there, you just lay it in there and you slide into the berm and you're just on the throttle, and so much fun. I have a blast in that area.
Baja's consistent scenery changes can come quickly. From the moist mangroves of the Pacific to the harsh mountains of the Sierra de la Giganta range, where the second mission site was founded in 1699 at San Javier.
What do you think of the mission?
Mission's rad. I mean, I've raced by here twice, but it's the first time, well, not first time, pre-run and stop, but having the wealth of knowledge around here with all these guys that have been here and know all the history, I mean, that's pretty cool. Yeah. Excited to learn a little bit more today, and each day learn something new, right?
Yeah. You have to be here to like feel it, you know? These things like pictures just don't do them justice. That's I guess that's good photography somehow, getting that feeling out. iPhone pics don't do it justice, I should say.
Put the drone up.
My pics don't do it justice. Watch out.
Legend.
The legend, Johnny Campbell. Everywhere we go, Johnny Campbell. Johnny Campbell. Everybody knows Johnny. It's amazing. But you know, he's a great ambassador for the sport of off-roading and motorcycling, and for Honda. And he's always carries himself professionally with a smile, and just a great champion for our sport. We're stoked and privileged to have him ride along with us. But don't tell him I said that.
Getting to ride with him down here after being such an idol of mine when I was a kid has been really special to me. You know, I think the first time I rode with him, I called my dad that night and said, "Dad, I got to ride with Johnny Campbell all day today," and he was like freaking over the moon over it. Yeah, you did it. So getting to ride with Johnny has been a really, really cool treat for me, you know, having spent 25 years down here.
Mighty fine XR.
So I got the 11X on it too, huh?
Yeah, you know, spent a lot of time on these old air coolers and had a really good career on these things, and it's special to see, you know, folks still engage with them, you know. Got the old 11-time plate here. Super cool.
Whose bike is it?
So, what's your name?
Ezequiel.
Ezekiel. Ezekiel. This is Ezekiel's bike from San Javier.
It's hard to believe 5 hours ago Fred had almost taken himself out. And now 11-time is riding kids' bikes, chasing them around in front of the mission. The danger and majesty of Baja can be around every corner. The day ahead had some bangers to come, but after sunrise on the Sea of Cortez, we first checked on Fred.
And how's your dad doing?
He woke up with a broken foot today. We thought it was just a broken toe, but you know, we woke up and his foot was like ×2 the size, and you know, we just we're gonna get him over and checked. We're gonna get an X-ray done, and we're gonna see what we can do with him today. He's not gonna be on the trail today or on the trucks on the trail. He's gonna be on the road as much as possible.
7, Agua Verde, Punta Conejo. We'll go across the peninsula at least once, twice. We're gonna go from Loreto all the way up and over to Constitution, which is in the middle, then out to Punta Conejo, which is on the Pacific coast. Then we're gonna pop back over to La Paz, which is on the Sea of Cortez. So it's a banger day. It's gonna be 200 plus miles, maybe in the 250 range again. So this will be a big one for the boys for sure. After 6 full days of riding, yesterday was 270 miles. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of work. Take it easy. Well, the good news is we'll have the Raptors with us a lot today, so we have good support and good hydration with us.
The violent jutting mountains of the Sierra de la Gigante drop into the Sea of Cortez and have created some amazing beauty, but also a treacherous route along the cliffs that will lead us to one of our favorite swimming holes. The views are amazing as we drop altitude towards the beach, but you have to keep your head in the game as the cliffside is no joke adjacent to the road. As we get to the reveal of Agua Verde, the Rip brothers have to pause and take it all in.
Yes, this is what Baja's all about right here. How's that beauty? Check out the boats, everybody hanging out, dirt bikes coming in, a little invasion, but it's just one of those magical places on the peninsula where you just gotta come, park your bike, take your boots off, and jump in the water, because you can't just pass them all by, right? You can't stop at all of them either. But if the magic, stop. I'm gonna say this is pretty much straight up magic.
Agua Verde. Been waiting for this for 7 days.
One of the prettiest places in Baja. Obviously, you can see behind me with the sailboats here. people are out enjoying it, and then a bunch of dirty dirt bikers come through and ruin their sanctuary.
We lined up our Alpine Stars boots as a start line for today's fray, a swimming battle amongst the rider teams.
All right, so the only rules are you can't drown each other, you can't pull each other down, and you got to go around Pete on the right side and come around. The finish line is when you cross the boots, cross the Alpine Stars. All right, Brooks, you better get out of the way. And we're going to start in a reverse push-up position. All the way down, chest on the ground. Chest on the ground.
Barry's got it. Barry, run in with him. I am.
Go, Dave.
Don't worry about getting the shot.
Let's go, Dave. Let's go, Pete. In 3, 2, go, Shane. 1, go. Go, Pete. Build teams, get people to hang out, get people to talk a little crap, get people to embrace that team attitude and to have something to strive for. And you also got to remember too that all of our riders are totally different, right? So I don't care how good or bad you are on the bike, I don't care how rich or not rich you are. What I care about is that camaraderie, that feeling. And when you fray up, when you get these teams separated, there's nothing like it.
On the podium.
What team do you represent?
Team Blanco.
Team Blanco. So the white team adding 15 points. Pete, what team do you represent? Green team coming in with 10 points. Yeah. And it looks like the red team's going to come last with 5 points.
Did you know Shane was a strong swimmer?
I did, because we both surf back at home, and he spends more time in the water than I do. So I knew he was going to be a fierce competitor, but I'll get him next year.
What a amazing backdrop to have a fray, swimming out in the Sea of Cortez. Great day. If you've never been here, you should come check it out. Middle of Baja.
It's always hard to leave the magic of the coastline, but we had work to do, as we'll cross the peninsula 2 times today. Sea of Cortez to Pacific Ocean, and back to the Sea of Cortez in La Paz. As we headed west, we rode a challenging route with loose rock and vertical cliff edges. Rocks were plentiful and aren't always a favorite. Well, I like them. Barry in the orange has made a full rebound from his heat stroke day 3 back to his normal solid self. He has been voted Rider of the Rip by his brothers in previous years and has a heroic track record on the Rip to Cabo. He's Baja certified for sure. One of the things I always try to avoid is the silt, but the camera guys get mad at me if we don't give them a silt shot occasionally. I ride on the very back managing the group, so the trucks and I sometimes have an extra couple minutes for a banger, like this one outside of Santa Fe. The Pacific Ocean is beautiful, and in southern Baja with the big green Cardone cactus and the Pacific blue, it just seems to pop even more. From temps raging over 105 degrees to 65, the climate change in different areas of Baja can be as wild as her terrain. 40-degree swings during a day are not uncommon on the peninsula.
Something different, racing daylight here at Punta Conejo. Sun's going down, we got about 45 minutes to an hour of daylight and twilight, so trying to get to La Paz. I don't know, we'll see how it goes. I think it's going to be dark about 40 minutes on us.
Our Baja Designs lighting setups are the best in the business, so we aren't afraid of the dark or even the legendary La Paz steps in the dark. We rode traditional Score Baja 1000 course into La Paz, where just the year before we raced this route and finished 3rd overall in our number 16 Monster Energy trophy truck. It's all Baja all the time for the DA.
285 miles yesterday. This is our last day. It's going to be around 160. Leaving here at 9 o'clock. Looking forward to seeing my wife and kids. Just having a nice, smooth day. So as the Rip to Cabo continues, we're at 1,344 miles right now. So we're going to come in around 1,500 miles. It's a pretty solid journey down the peninsula. Just smiles all the way around.
I always tell the riders, the last day is just as dangerous as any other day. Maybe more so with tired riders and worn bikes with tires having seen many miles. The bottom of the peninsula gets rugged geographically, and the bleached white sand washes jutting out of the mountains are visually another shocking Baja contrast. This wash would lead us to our last fray of the trip, our favorite, the Circle Sand Race.
The Circle Sand Race, integrating that into Rip to Cabo was epic. We had a phenomenal area to do it. This big old wide sand wash and nobody around. So we weren't bothering anybody.
We set up a bunch of chairs in a circle area, and then we put 2 guys from each team on.
The way it works is if you get past, you are out. We would have a couple from each heat advance and would end up with a 6-rider final.
One from each team so far. We got JD for the red team. We got Moss for the green team. And Pecoy for the white team.
Moss is out. He fell behind Pecoy. They both got passed, so he was the first one passed, so Moss is out.
Moss is out, so Brandon's in?
Yes, Brandon's in.
We're going to replace Moss with Brandon. Green team is no longer in the running for this competition.
So when there's only 3 left, we'll walk out and stop you, okay? If you see us going like this, that means the heat's over. Don't hurt each other, it's only for fun. For fun, everybody understand? If you get past, pull out. Fire them up, fire them up.
White rules! Winner! Good job, good job.
Fresh off his beach bass.
Team Blanco won, so I was stoked. But it was super fun, and I think all the guys got a real good kick out of it.
Ryan Chapin for the green team. Second place was JD Tippin Pequeño for the red team. And winning was Ryan Liebelt for the white team. The score now stands white team 95.
Yeah!
Green team 75. And red team 55.
Yeah!
That worked.
Hell yeah, Whitey!
All
right, I gotta get some water, boys. Dying. Gotta get to the bar or the pool. See?
The frays proved again to build camaraderie, and the energy was high as we turned our sights on the last 60 miles to Land's End. Our families were waiting for us for the 17th year at the office, and we were ready for some celebration after 8 days on the bikes.
You know, the last day, everybody's pretty geared up, and it's like we have to have a talk and say, you know what, this is the last day, we're almost there, and everybody's excited to, you know, see their family, to see their wives, their girlfriends, but we got to, you know, kind of keep the group mellow, because when you get close to Cabo, there's more traffic, there's livestock in the hills, and it's like, you got to really stay on point until we get to the office.
There's no better feeling than seeing our host Edith from the office and her crews from Edith, Tres Serenas, and the Italian Job all waiting to greet us as we see Land's End for the first time. Having them close the streets, us rolling up over the hill, hearing the conch shells sing, and knowing our families are around the corner is surreal after 8 days of Baja dirt biking.
To have Edith, who I think she's one of the best ambassadors, personalities on the peninsula. To have the bike stop there and the conch shells start going off. And the sound, the emotion, you know, tears come to my eyes. We've built a relationship over those 17 years. We are friends. She has a passion and she has a personality. She loves places like Scorpion Bay. She loves to go out clamming on her own. She loves the Baja Peninsula. And she shows us that love and respect when we come to her town. And I think it's fabulous.
Greetings from Edith. Get tears in my eyes. She's an amazing host, spectacular person.
And one thing left to do.
One thing left to do, and that's right into the office. Edith! Gracias por todo!
Rosebuds, a bunch of them with rosebuds, and they're blowing the conch shells. It's a great experience to roll into town and have all those people so pumped to have us here. They're as pumped to have us here as we are as being here.
At the end of the 8 days, when you're coming over that last final hill into Land's End and they're blowing the conch shells and throwing the rose petals, and you're seeing your family for the first time in 8 days, and you're seeing all your friends with all your buddies that you just went to battle with for the last 8 days, it's an emotional feeling, you know. You can't help, even the toughest guy, you know, struggles to not well up with a little bit of emotion.
The Yeti Bunch.
That's right.
Hey,
my familia.
Yeah, Moss fam.
Another one in the books. 17. Trip of a lifetime every time. Doesn't get old.
Sweeney and I, we've been racing against each other, riding with each other for a long time now. So it's super fun to share the Baja with him. And, we had good times and got to mix it up a little bit out there in the cactus and trails. So.
Always fun riding with the king of Baja. And learned a thing or two every single time. It was fun. And my first official rip. So yeah, fresh fish status with the best there is. Can't get any better than that.
Well, obviously I say I love all the riders, but I love no one more than these three right here. It's so great to be with baby Kay, baby Grace, and the wife. 1,450-ish miles down the Baja Peninsula. A lot of time to reflect and think about those that we are not with us anymore. So many great people. This year we dedicate the ride in memory of John Markey, who rode with us for a decade. Not able to be here, he's passed away, and it's just it's amazing to see the friends and the family and the respect for this trip. Something we started 17 years ago. To have Edith and Carmen welcome us with open arms as city fathers, shutting down the streets here at the office. Yeah, the emotion is boiling over. Thank you guys so much. for watching. Thank you for being a part of our journey. Thank you, wife. I love you.
I love you too. We're so happy to
In memory of those lost and our accomplishment, we took our traditional dip in Medano Bay to cleanse mind and soul. Viva Baja!